Yes, guys, welcome back to Shameless Football with me, Sean Butler from Spurs Talk Show, and Henry Wright from Henry Wright TV. How are you, Henry?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Another topic to be talking about. Interesting one. This will probably divide a little bit of opinion, but we're here. We're shameless. Like the video, subscribe to the channel.
100%. Make sure you do those things. What's the story, mate?
So this come out yesterday. It broke the news. The report is actually from a couple of days ago that Chelsea face potential points deduction over two transfers, which was Willian and Samuel Eto'o. And this, I believe, was between 2012 to 2019. And it essentially says in this report that the West London club were purchased by Todd Boehly back in May 2022. And this was before when they were under Roman Abramovich. It has been reported to the Times that during the due diligence process, Chelsea's new owners undercover payments reaching up seven figures made between 2012 and 2019 that were not part of the club's financial report. He then goes on to say that the true transfers have fallen under scrutiny are Williams' 30 million move to the bridge from Anzi Makalaka, which are a Russian team that I believe Roman Abramovich had some sort of investment or some sort of relationship with. And then with with striker Samuel Eto'o, as well from the same team as a free transfer. There was no suggestion that either player knew of the payments, though. Upon completing the takeover, Chelsea's new owners self-reported the payments to the Premier League and the FA. So, mate, it looks a bit fishy. Chelsea have signed two players for a Russian club. You remember when China, what's happened now with Saudi, where there was a lot of money pumped in? It was originally China, then Russia happened. A couple of big players like Zirkov and Willian and Eto'o, and there was a really big Hungarian player over there that kind of brought a lot of money into the league. But it looks like from reports that Chelsea have signed two players. One of them, William, was a very good player for them. I think Eto'o was only there 18 months. But they haven't reported these payments to the FA, to the Premier League, and to the governing bodies. But from my perspective is, just because these payments happened, like Todd Boehly's taken over, he hasn't done enough.
Well, it was him and his team that uncovered, looking through the books after they've taken control of Chelsea. They've gone through
that before.
They've discovered the issues and they brought it to the attention of the authorities. Sort of almost like I'll expose myself before I get exposed, hoping that there'll be some leniency gifted or granted our way, because it wasn't us that
Play
did
the innocent card.
Yeah, and it wasn't them that did it. For me personally, I think that they're up to all sorts of shenanigans right now with their relationships with Clear Lake Capital and Saudi Arabia. Anyway, but that won't come. If it does come to that won't happen for years. But they brought this out now, or in August, I think they raised the attention on it. But it doesn't affect what they've done. It affected what Abramovich did. And obviously they're hoping that they can get away with it. And the argument from a Chelsea sympathiser's view is that it wasn't this Chelsea owner, it wasn't this structure at the club that was responsible for this. But the FA seemingly might say, well, sorry, but
it's still the same club, regardless of the owner. It's still the same football club that's done those quote unquote allegations. I think, look, there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of ways around things nowadays. But if you haven't reported payments, that's like essentially stealing something. You might have paid for it, but where's the evidence?
Oh, it's laundering of some regard from people that want to benefit during the era of FFP. They want to benefit without necessarily making it go through the books. The thing for me is, whilst I would feel sorry for the new owners that get the punishment, ultimately Chelsea as a football club benefited via breaking the rules, right? Which is cheating. If found true, they benefited via breaking the rules. And whilst it might be in the past, those players that came in have obviously contributed to Chelsea's story during the period
where they are now, mate. The trophies they won.
100%, right? And so when you're looking like how much of a direct or indirect benefit does that still play into the story of Chelsea whatever it is, 8 years later, 10 years later, it's impossible to know. But you could say that the players that they're signing now, on some level, are signing because of the brand of Chelsea, because of the reputation, because of the previous success, the heritage or the recent heritage that Chelsea have, and that on some level was beneficial to them because of the actions that Abramovich did, allegedly, I think at this stage, with regards buying players through rules that were not, or through not participating in the current, or in the
on Willian, right? Willian won an FA Cup, a League Cup, a Europa League, 2 Premier League titles, 2 Player of the Years with Chelsea. So that's 4, 5, 7, 6 trophies with Chelsea between 2013 and 2018, including
and the fact that 2 Player of the Years shows that his contribution was meaningful. You get a lot of time, you get players that might be a participation award, like they get the trophy because they're part of the squad but didn't particularly contribute very much. But with this particular guy, his contribution is significantly meaningful, excellent, and he was only playing in the shirt because the ownership structure at the time broke the rules in order to make it happen.
Look, if this is true, there needs to be some punishment, and I don't want to see wait out, and do the point deduction next season. You need to do the point deduction as soon as possible. There's no point in us. You look at I'll give you an example, right? Ivan Toney, they knew there was a ban coming, but they waited 4 months to actually give him the ban, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to see this dragged out, because then you look at where would Willian's career have got to without the move if this move to Chelsea didn't go through. Would he have made the Brazil
moment, isn't it? He would have gone somewhere else. There's a whole new reality, a whole new timeline.
Precisely, and same with Samuel Eto'o. Samuel Eto'o, back in 2010 was a world-class number 9. Moved to Chelsea, and now it's like a bit.
Did he win any trophies? He must have won trophies as well, right?
I don't think he did.
No, okay.
He might have won a Charity Shield or whatever, but it's worrying the fact that this has taken so long.
What's even weirder is that it probably wouldn't have come to light at all if the new owners hadn't brought it to the attention of the authorities. So on the one hand, you kind of think if Chelsea do get punished for it, then they'll be saying no good deed goes unpunished. It'd be like someone pleading guilty in the court of law and then not getting some sort of benefit in terms of a sentence versus someone who pleaded not guilty and then found guilty afterwards, or showing remorse. I don't. For me personally, I just think that there has to be some. If it's all true, if it's all legit, and the allegations are right, then there does have to be some consequence, because ultimately Chelsea right now are still playing and benefiting from the successes of that particular era. And just because the ownership has changed hands doesn't mean that you should get away with if you move out of your house, the next owner comes in, but if the house has got a problem with it, then the problem doesn't go away just because the ownership's changed. So, I think that there has to be some
still at your door, mate. Regardless of whoever is in that house, the problem's at your door, and this needs to be dealt with. Not because we're Spurs fans on a shameless channel, but just for football to be fair.
100%. And I think that if Everton, even though Everton haven't benefited from their breaches of FFP, Everton are facing a 12-point ban, right? Like a significant hit. That if they get that and it happens this season, they're rock bottom. They haven't even got 12 points in the league, and they won't have it for quite a while. So they'll be rock bottom of the Premier League and facing relegation if they're found guilty. They haven't benefited from their financial impropriety or their financial misgivings. They've just made a series of really poor decisions in the transfer market under their previous owner. And obviously, we don't know what's going on with the Manchester City saga. What is it, 150 charges or something that they face? I don't know when these things do get ironed out one way or the other. But if there's ownership models that are taking place either in the present form or in the previous form, whether before FFP or during the early stages of it, that have allowed clubs to benefit, or otherwise, if rules have been broken, in order for the playing field to appear at least to look level, then there needs to be consequences for impropriety. Yeah, I think you have to do it that way, right? But what is the right, like, how many points does the story say how many points Chelsea might be deducted?
No, it doesn't. It just says that Chelsea, the club, have already been fined 8.6 million from a UEFA for potentially incomplete financial reporting under the previous ownership. That was between 2018 and 2019. Not being funny, but 8.6 million quid
Nothing,
is
is it?
nothing. And not only that, do you remember they had a 1-year transfer ban? So this isn't uncommon for Chelsea to be linked with these type of allegations. I think a 10 to 15 point ban would be fair. And if I was being shameless, I'd say more, but Derby got a 10 to 12 point ban.
Yeah.
Under Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Everton are facing that. 10, 12 points would be fair. But do it right at the end of the season. Just to add salt into the wound.
Yeah. See, I don't mind. If Chelsea carry on this current form where they win one, lose one, draw a few, and they're kind of stuck rock like in the middle of the Premier League, I don't really want to see. I want to see it happen at the start of next season, so they start 12 points behind the 8 ball, just as we're getting going, so that they're already behind the curve when it comes to trying to compete. Because I think that Chelsea will become better over time once they get a striker in, and you know, the experience of playing together, everything figures itself out. Either way, if they're found guilty, there has to be some consequence. And whilst it's admirable of Todd Boehly to bring it to the attention of the authorities, that doesn't mean that you should get away with it. But what I also think it does highlight is that if it takes an honest, somewhat honest owner, apparently honest owner, to own up to something that the authorities probably wouldn't have found out had it not been for their honesty, then what does that tell you about the competence of the people that are supposed to be reading these accounts?
Tells you a lot about it, doesn't it?
Massively.
I just think
yeah.
Shamelessly, it couldn't happen to a better football club.
Perfect way to finish. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and make sure you get over to Henry Wright TV. Link will be in the title or the description.
And Sean Butler, aka Spurs Talks. I don't know why. You need to change it. I'll talk about this after, but I think Sean Butler TV's got a bit of a ring to it.
All right. Well, I'll think about it. There you go, guys. That's that. We'll see you on the next one very soon. As always, up the shameless.